Do you happen to be looking for an RV that's not going to empty your pockets? Today we're talking about the 2026 Winnebago Solis Pocket here at Colonial RV. We're going to talk about 2026 changes, the things that make this a great starter RV, a great RV for day trippers, and just a great all-round Class B van. Are you ready? Let's get started. Now in 2026, we have the new stylized front end of the ProMaster chassis, and the Pocket is actually built on the RAM ProMaster 1500 chassis, meaning this is only 17 feet and 10 inches in length, and this is a 136-inch wheelbase, so it's even more maneuverable than the larger Solis 59P and PX. It's also worth mentioning that we have the 180 amp alternator charging our two AGM Group 31 batteries at the rear of the RV underneath, and we also have the 280 horsepower V6 from RAM, of course, here, paired with a 9-speed transmission and now adaptive cruise control, in addition to power mirrors with blind spot assist and heat functionality, as well as a lot of power adjustments and stability, post-collision assist, a lot of brand new features and electronic steering, a lot of things that we're very happy to see on the van, and just makes it a little bit more modern with 2026. Now, walking along the side here, I want to mention that the profile of the van fits perfectly in a parking space, is only a 6-foot and 8-inch width in addition to the 9-foot 5-inch height of the overall size of the van, so we can still fit into drive-throughs, car washes, a lot of places that the average Sprinter van may not be able to go due to the height. We have the exhaust ported out the side here. We've got an exhaust / intake for our Truma system. We actually have a Vario heat on board with the 36A. This is what the exhaust is for here, and we have no water heater on board whatsoever. We of course have a twist lock 30 amp cord and a pressurized water fill for the side here. Very good to see in 2026. And something that I absolutely love about the 36A, and my clients do as well, is a access door for a removable 25-pound propane cylinder off the rear. So if you live somewhere with an HOA that doesn't want a propane RV, you can remove that tank, set it next to your grill in your backyard, and when you're going on an RV trip, whether you bring it already full or empty, it's very easily accessible and removable from the rear of the van. And just like the larger counterpart Solises in the rear doors here of the Solis, we do have an exterior shower compartment, and we have a little shower curtain that also can be secured up against the cab to just blind out anyone trying to look in from that front windshield. We also have little thermal covers for the rear here to insulate these back windows off the door. And of course we can zip these for privacy or open them up to look out the rear here. It's just nice to see this featured on the 36A as well. And of course, in the rear, off to the other side here with the doors open, I have access to a quick connect for an outdoor shower, a pump switch, because Winnebago is fantastic about locating these in multiple places. I've got a port for additional solar. We have a 190 watt panel on the roof, but there is a 40 amp PWM solar controller, so we can expand more off this port. And of course, now we have freshwater fill directionals here, as well as another inlet, so you don't have to only fill off the side or run city water or fill your fresh, of course, off just the side. And it's nice to see it all labeled correctly, have 110, 12 volt and USB power back here, as well as access to the drain for my 20-gallon gray tank. We also have 20 gallons of fresh water on board. It's a fantastic size fresh tank for an RV of this size. But moving along onto the entry side here, we can see that part of the feature of the Pocket here is that 17-foot 10-inch length. We have the door almost the extent of the length of the back of the van here past the opening. And I still have screened entry door in the front and the rear and a magnetic catch, so if we're coming in and out of the van, it just makes it quickly easier to come in and out. And I of course have a nice little table. Whether you're just loading items here or just spending your morning on the side of your van, it's nice to have an additional table out the side. And this is exclusive to the 36A, just like the 25-pound propane cylinder in the rear. And it's also something we see on the Revels, but it's unique in the Solis line solely to the 36A Pocket. So stepping inside, I've got a ton of things I want to talk to you about, but first let me let you have an impression of the inside of the van, and then we'll talk about the cab here behind me. So with 2026, I wanted to mention we have a full-time running rear display camera, and we can actually tilt as well as dim this for better visibility behind the van while we're driving. And you can also see right here on the steering wheel, we have the adaptive cruise controls, new features with the 2026 and late 25 models, as well as lane keep assist, stability control, and front and rear park sensors. These are all fantastic features, as well as the updated Uconnect 5 screen here. And I also want to talk about how on the Solis, we still have easily adjustable as far as lumbar, the tilt and of the base of the seat here. So if you need your legs higher up in the air or closer to the base of the commercial cab here, it's a very adjustable seat. And what I've heard from van owners with the cloth seats like this is for long drives, these are more breathable, slightly more comfortable than a synthetic leather, at least in the case of the Solis. And moving along into the cab, I want to mention there is no pop top option available with the Solis 36A. The only option really would be a Luno front cab mattress here, an inflatable cab bed that we have a separate video on our channel, or the generator in the back here. And that's actually going to be a gasoline flex power generator, a 2800 watt one, and that will run your air conditioner or your outlets when you're off grid. Now, I also want to mention this LED strip is available when you do not have a pop top option with the Solises, and it's great to see it actually has a bright setting as well as a dim setting for night. And I also have my cab blinder shades up here in my little shelf above the ProMaster cab. I've got my owner's manual as well as that curtain I mentioned that can both be attached here or off the rear in the shower compartment that gets made back there. We also have a vent fan right here. This is a fan that has a rain sensor, so if you're sleeping, it starts to drizzle, but you had the fan open for some ventilation, it will close for you. And this is one that you don't need to get a cover for because the bulb is actually fully enclosed on that Max Air fan. So it's very nice to see. Of course, you see me using it just with the price of a button, but you can also set it to a 78-degree temp so it comes on as it gets warmer in the van. Now, right along to the left here, above our dinette, we have two large storages, and something unique to Winnebago is we already have a port for access on the roof. There's no additional cutting that's going to be necessary in order to run wires from a rooftop antenna to the interior of the van. So think Starlink, Wi-Fi, cell boosters, all of that. It's a lot easier to install with a Winnebago that already has the port on the roof. Less to seal, less to worry about kind of for maintenance or service down the line. And of course we have 12 volt and USB and 110 outlets in this compartment as well. But also, in our two-person dinette here, that can also become a daybed or a sofa bench, so to speak, with the removal of this table here. We have access to more power solutions and just storage here. So if we're hooking up our devices, we can kind of store them in this little bench area, as well as keep them plugged in and keep them charged. So if you're working while on the road or just entertaining yourself while dining right here, it's nice to have these things. And of course, we've got the cab shades over the tinted windows. So the tinted windows, of course, are going to keep it nice and cool in here when we're running the air in the summer months. But in the colder months, it's nice to have these covers for the window to kind of mitigate any of the thermal loss from those windows there. And I'll show you the bench here as not just a dinette, but as a sofa and a daybed. But I want to mention you do have a 3-point harness in the rear here. So if you have a third passenger coming along, we have a seat for them right in the back of the van. So I want to show you how easy it is for this modular dinette area to become both a daybed or a sofa. This tabletop here is actually going to be the support for my base. And it's nice and easily removable. It's very similar to like a lagoon style table. I also want to mention that the backrest here behind the driver is completely removable. So in the event you're a taller gentleman and you don't want this back support piece, you could completely remove it from the van for a more comfortable drive to your destination. And also on this side, in addition to the 3-point harness, we have a child seat tether. So if you have to have a car seat in the van, you already have a location for it. So if I'm making a daybed, it's quick and easy. I've got a cushion that's going to perfectly fit the slot. I even have some head support, but of course this is a 60-inch bed. It's more so suited for a small child, but I could also enjoy just lounging here throughout the day. If I would like to make this into a sofa, I'm actually going to remove a couple of the cushions to use as a backrest, and the two base cushions are actually going to fill the gap. And before I completely put a cushion in this space, I want to show you that the storage is accessible from the top here. And of course I have our 3.2 gallon cassette toilet, similar to the removable cassette tank out the rear or off the side of the Solis. We have a 3.2 gallon tank underneath the porta potty here, so we can still take this small tank. Let me show it to you real quickly. We can still take this small tank to the dump station. Of course, AMR nozzle right in there. We have a breather, a level indicator, and of course it's nice and easy to add treatment from the top to keep this maintained well if you decide to bring this along on your travels. If not, you just have more storage right here in the front. But of course I'm gonna move my cushions as my base here. And so there's one half the sofa. And here's the other half of the sofa. So of course I still have access to my appliances that might be charging behind it, but now I have a nice sofa to lounge. I could set up entertainment on top of our kitchenette and just really enjoy the space in my van without sacrificing any more space. Still having a fantastic profile to fit in a parking space. And now over in the kitchen, just like the other Solises, at the end of the kitchen, I do have my 3 cubic foot 12 volt refrigerator from NovaCool. It's nice to see this in the kitchen. And this is actually roughly a 4 amp draw to get cold, and then to stay cold, solar should more than maintain the draw of my fridge here. Should be less than an amp to run throughout the hour. Of course, again, we've got 12 volt and USB as well as 110 outlets. We've got my master disc to connect for the coach, the switch for my exterior light, as well as the above headlight inside here for me. And above our kitchenette, I've got that 40 amp solar controller I mentioned. So this is currently just hooked to that 190 watt panel on the roof, but of course through that external solar port, we could expand that a bit further. And Winnebago has this great branded level center here, so I could see if my pump switch is on, my battery level, my gray tank level, 20 gallon gray tank on our 36A here, as well as pump switch, and my hours, as well as startup for the generator in the rear there. So like I said, if we're staying off grid and I want to run the AC, all I got to do is kick on the generator and it's going to pull from our 24 gallon fuel tank on board here. I also have controls to the Truma Vario heat. And I have had clients install inline on-demand water heaters if they're using this more than just a day van, but most of the clients that purchase 36A from us are using facilities at nice resorts and may even use this as like a daily driver that they can fit tons of gear in, as well as sleep in for a night or two if they want to. So in the kitchenette here, right above our control center, I've got my 2-burner propane gas stove with, or cooktop with glass cover, and I of course have my sink right here. So just cold water sink, but of course we still have storage below and a large drawer behind the fridge here in the kitchen. But it also keeps, with these drawers being removable, it keeps the fridge accessible for maintenance, and I love that about this floor plan. And this might look very, very similar to a lot of Class B vans that van lifers have built out, but this RV is a great opportunity to get into a van of that size, already built out, with full warranties from Winnebago and from RAM. Now, back here, I've got 2 storages just like over our dinette, with the support framework as well, and it's just nice to see deep storage solutions even on a van of this size. Now above my head here we have the 13500 BTU AC. Of course this is not ducted into the roof to give us more roof height here, but I do have closable vents in the front and the rear, as well as these tiner tweeter vents, so to speak, so that if we're sleeping in bed and you like the constant airflow, you have the option for that. And taking down this Murphy Plus bed is very easy, but before I do that, I want to show you this storage area in the rear here. So of course, with the height of the bed, we've got room for bin storages, both a nice, very deep, tall one right underneath the bed here and a couple shallow ones in the rear. And then I've got my converter, another deep storage where I have a starter kit stowed right there, just stuff to get people started when they're on the road. And that 55 amp converter that's charging the batteries is also lithium prep ready, meaning if you wanted to put in a drop-in compatible Lithionics battery of similar size, it would drop right in. No converter would need to be replaced, but we would have to tell the solar controller that the batteries are now lithium. So over here, I want to mention we've got a little level indicator by backlight for that fresh tank that's stowed inside the van, which is one good thing for extended season if you're trying to kind of go out late fall into the season and still enjoy the van. The water tank's inside, so you're less worried about that going to a freezing point. And again, Winnebago vans are insulated so well. There's not a lot of manufacturers in the industry that's going to invest in the amount of insulation and the beautiful subfloor hex core that gives you great occupant cargo carrying capacity the way that Winnebago does. And we have a gravity fill for the fresh tank, so we don't have to solely rely on the pressurized fitting at the rear or off to the left of the van. And of course, again, 12 volt USB, 110 outlets, this on the GFCI circuit. And this is just my thermistor for that Truma Vario heat there. So as temperatures drop inside the van, it just knows to kick on our furnace. And I love that we have this nice pet gate, so to speak, here. So if you have animals you're keeping in the back of the van, we have this nice Molly panel that also features, that functions as a gate that we can use here to kind of keep them separate from the space. But I also have, in addition to my Vario heat vent in the back here, 4 aluminum L tracks, just like our high-end Revel, for any bikes, any gear, even just suitcases, whatever you might want to strap down while you're in transit so that it's not moving so much through the van. And of course, like I said earlier, we have a screen door back here as well if I'm letting a nice breeze through. But what I want to show you and what I'm very, very excited to talk about, other than the new interior refresh, these colors are brand new for 2026. From 2020 to 2025, we had a lighter interior. This darker with the laminate countertops is just a very nice tone change, and I think it goes very well with the new cab blinds. But in the rear here, we've always had the Murphy Plus bed with these nice slats that kind of work well as almost like a mattress frame in an RV. And then something I'm very happy to talk about is Winnebago makes these mattresses in-house. They've recently invested in an even more comfortable, more breathable, cooling mattress. And the first feedback I'm getting both on this and the Revel Sports and the Revels with the new mattresses is that they love this new Reprieve mattress. It's more comfortable, it's more breathable. And one of the things that a lot of RVers do, the first thing they do when they buy an RV is take that mattress out and put one that they bought specialized online in. What I'm saying here is you might have the opportunity to really enjoy this mattress before you decide you want another one. Another thing I want to mention is the space and the size of this mattress. So me at 6 foot, I'm going to take off my boots here just so I don't mark up our new Solis. I've got storage up above me, so if I want to throw my phone or something up there. I also have a reading light above head. I've got lights at the end of the bench as well, so when this is stowed up against here, I have a light that's going to shine into my storage area so I can see what I'm doing. 2 lights above my dinette, as well as the 2 above headlights here. So for the size of the van, we have a ton of appliances, we have a ton of usability, and if you're going on day trips, if you just need something where you can stow stuff underneath, this is a fantastic option. I've even had clients that just daily drive the van and enjoy how well it handles. At this size, we're not too far from the dimensions of like a large SUV, or even a little bit longer than a minivan, a traditional minivan. So to close on our Solis Pocket here, I'd like to mention that it's available in the bright white like you see here. These graphics are new with 2026. It's also available in a bright silver as well as a ceramic gray like the ProMaster you see behind me there. If you have any questions at all about this van or about pricing, please give me a call at 1-800-265-9019. I'd love to work with you, and I'd love to help you find the perfectly sized ProMaster Class B RV for your adventures. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next Colonial RV video.